In Children's Lit, I like to start off our classes right away with reading good books, and we have one here for you today. We're going to be looking at Little Cliff and the Cold Place, which is a book 2002 by Clifton Talbert. So let's take a look. Little Cliff and the Cold Place. On the chalkboard in Little Cliff's school was a map of the world. Cliff loved to look at the map and hear about places far from Glen Allen, his small hometown. Until he had started school, Cliff thought the world ended in Greenville, Mississippi, the grandest place his Papa Joe had ever taken him. There, Little Cliff and Papa Joe would stand and watch the boats and barges make their way down the great Mississippi River. The water stretched as far as Cliff could see. It seemed to be the end of the world. Today, Miss Maxie told his class about another new place. She pointed to Glen Allen on the map. Then her finger traveled to the top of the map. Miss Maxie said this was a very cold place where boys and girls lived in a land of cold and snow. In the cold place, children lived in houses made of snow and rode on sleds pulled by dogs. They fished in holes cut in the ice and hardly ever saw the sun. Cliff couldn't imagine life without the bright Delta sun. Mama Pearl had told him that the sun was born in the south. He guessed it didn't get up north much at all. When Miss Maxie went outside to see if the bus was ready, Cliff walked over to the map and found Glen Allen. Then he stood on his tiptoes and traced the distance to the cold place. "Me and Papa can drive there," he said to himself. Miss Maxie returned and rang the bell. School was over for the day. Little Cliff didn't stop to play. Instead, he ran straight home. Mama Pearl was waiting at the front porch. Cliff almost knocked her over. He was so excited. Mama, Miss Maxie told us about boys and girls who live just past the big river in a very, very cold place." "Wait up, boy, what are you carrying on about?" Mama Pearl asked as she gave him her usual loving hug. "Me and Papa can go to the cold place. Little boys like me ride on sleds pulled by dogs and live in houses made of snow." "Houses made of snow? Boy, you out of your head?" Little Cliff was jumping up and down. "Miss Maxie showed us the place on the big map. A place called Arkansas?" asked Mama Pearl in disbelief. "No, shoots, I can't think of it now. But it's not far." Mama Pearl wanted to laugh, but she thought she'd better not. "Cliffy, it sounds a mighty far piece from here to me, but wait till your papa gets home. He'll know about this place." Little Cliff went to his favorite chinaberry tree to wait for his great-grandfather. He climbed into a fork of the tree and grabbed a handful of hard yellow hitting berries. Cliff liked to hide behind bushes and blow the hard berries at his friends through a rolled-up paper shooter. They would be the perfect gift to give to the boys and girls in the cold place. At last he heard his papa's car pulling up into the gravel driveway. He scrambled down from the tree so fast that he sprawled on the ground, his handful of berries going everywhere. Little Cliff quickly gathered the berries and stuffed them into his pockets. Before Papa Joe could get out of the car, Cliff was at the window, talking so fast the words ran out of his mouth. Papa, I saw the cold place on the map today. Miss Maxie told us about snow houses, no sun, and fish in ice holes." "Slow down, son, slow down," Papa Joe said as he opened the car door. "What's all this about snow houses and cold fish?" Cliff grabbed his papa's strong hands and walked up the steps to the front porch. "Boys ride on sleds pulled by dogs," Cliff said. "It's just up north. We can go there." "You say you all saw this cold place on the map?" I believe I know the place," Papa Joe said as he and Little Cliff walked into the front room where he kept his books. Papa Joe put on his reading glasses and pulled out an old book from under the table. Cliff stood by the side of his great-grandfather's chair as Papa Joe flipped through page after page. "Well, son, here is the cold place you saw. Just as I thought, the Arctic. Miss May Maxie was right, boy. It's a mighty cold place, and it's a mighty long ways from here." "But, Papa, it can't be," Little Cliff pleaded. "I saw it on the wall map. All you got to do is move your finger up north, and you're right there. It's real close." Son, folks can't drive to the Arctic. But Papa, please, I want to go to the cold place, Cliff said as he began to cry. Papa Joe looked very concerned. He never liked to see his little boy crying. Then, as Cliff anxiously looked into his face, Papa Joe began to smile. Cliffy, I just had an idea. You can't go to your cold place, but we could visit my old friend Jacob Goldstein. He was in the Navy, and I know he's been there. I suspect he has some pictures. Why can't we go, Papa? Papa Joe walked over to Cliff's picture on the mantel. He brought the picture to little Cliff and sat down again. Whose picture is this? Papa Joe asked. It's me, Papa. But now take a good look at yourself, and take a good look at your picture. You are so much bigger than in this small picture. Little Cliff started to laugh. I'm a big boy. I go to school. So you are, son. And the map Miss Maxie showed you all was just a little picture. But the real world is mighty big. Cliff was beginning to understand. So we can't ever go to the cold place, can we, Papa? Don't think we can, but here's my idea. I recall Mr. Jacob telling me a long time ago about one of his trips to Alaska, the land of the Eskimo, which is up there in your cold place. We can go to Mr. Jacob's after supper tomorrow. I've been knowing him since we was boys. The next evening they drove Papa's old Buick to Mr. Jacob's house and parked the car by a wire fence covered with honeysuckle vines. Papa held little Cliff's hand as they walked to the house. Papa knocked. Finally the door creaked open. Old Mr. Jacob stood there. Men shook hands, and Papa Joe reminded Mr. Jacob that he had seen little Cliff as a small baby. Then he said, Jacob, my boy here came home yesterday, dead set on me, and him driving to the Arctic. Couldn't get him to slow down. He wants to see sleds pulled by dogs and snow houses, and he wants to go tomorrow. Mr. Jacob laughed out loud as he offered them chairs in his cluttered living room. Joe, I bet I know what happened. The teacher down at the school started it all. Laughing with him, Papa Joe said, You're so right. Miss Maxie showed the children a map of the world and got them pretty excited. Well, I think I may have what your boy wants to see. Mr. Jacob pulled a scrapbook out of a trunk. These are pictures I took in Alaska many years ago, he explained, sitting beside little Cliff and opening the scrapbook. There you go, son. There were pictures of people dressed in furs outside their snow houses, a sled pulled by dogs, and even one of Mr. Jacob fishing through a hole cut in the ice. Cliff could hardly believe his eyes as old Mr. Jacob took out a small, heavy winter coat, trimmed in fur, and held it against little Cliff. It was just his size. Cliff tried it on and turned around and around. Mr. Jacob said, Joe, your boy looks just like the kids in them pictures. When Papa Joe looked at his watch, Cliff knew it was close to bedtime. He took off the coat slowly and thanked Mr. Jacob. That night, while tucking Cliff into bed, Papa Joe said, You know, Cliffy, there's a cold place right here in Glen Allen. Little Cliff sat straight up in his bed. Where is it, Papa? Can we go there tomorrow? It's Saturday. We sure can't, Papa Joe answered. We got to go to Brother Cleve's ice house. It's a mighty cold place. The next day, Papa Joe packed the car with coats, scarves, gloves, boots, socks, an old sweater, and a gray water bucket filled with wet newspaper. Little Cliff climbed in the front seat. He could hardly keep still. He waved at everybody he saw walking along the road and proudly yelled out that he and Papa Joe were going to the ice house. Brother Cleve was standing on the front ramp of the ice house when Papa Joe pulled alongside the building. While the men spoke, Cliff began dragging coats up the wooden steps. Just hold it, boy, Papa Joe said, smiling. I got a surprise for you. Reaching into a paper bag, he pulled out the small parka from Alaska. Little Cliff put on the coat, his chubby face peering out from the fur. He ran to open the heavy door to the blocks of ice. Wait, boy, Papa Joe said. Put on those gloves and pull those thick socks over your shoes. It's mighty cold in there. Papa Joe dressed for the cold also. Brother Cleve just laughed as they took the water bucket and a small quilt into his ice house. Little Cliff had never seen so much ice. They walked down a narrow aisle until they saw a block of ice small enough for them to sit on. Papa Joe spread the quilt over it. Little Cliff kept blowing his breath and watching it grow cold. Then Papa Joe reached into the bucket and unwrapped 3 live fish. Little Cliff's eyes grew wide as he watched them flip in the water bucket. Papa Joe gave Little Cliff a piece of string with a hook on the end. "Now you can fish, just like them boys in Alaska," he said. "And you'll be able to tell your teacher that your papa took you to the cold place after all." And on Monday morning at Glen Allen Elementary School, that is just what Little Cliff did. I just want to mention in this book, there's a little, I'm sure you can see why I picked this. It's really fun for people in Alaska to read. There's a little note at the bottom here that I'd like to share. Little Cliff and the Cold Place is set in the 1950s, when the word Eskimo was used for the people inhabiting the coastal areas of Greenland, Arctic North America, and extreme northeastern Siberia. In 1977, the Inuit Circumpolar Conference officially adopted Inuit, which means the real people, to replace Eskimo.